Hello, welcome to the Heartscaping Studio. I'm here wearing yellow because today in Australia it's Are You OK Day. This is a beautiful initiative to give us a prompt to have those conversations with our loved ones about mental health. However, what I've found in my experience as a coach and as a healer is that sometimes when we ask a direct question like, are you okay? And people are expecting it, it can make them feel very vulnerable, and it can actually prompt them to give us a very automated response, such as, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And that's not what we really want to do on these days. So in this video, I wanted to give you 3 top tips that I think can help have more deeper and more meaningful conversations and really support the people around us. Ultimately, what we're seeking to do here is to create connection and to enable this person to have a safe space to express how they're really feeling. So in order to do that, they need to know that there's no judgment and that there's no ulterior motive. And what I mean by that is that we're not seeking to have validation. We're not seeking to have that tap on the shoulder that we've done the right thing and that we've been a good friend and look at how amazing we were and how supportive we were. It's about the other person. It's about really holding space for them. And what that means is that we need to let go of our tendency to try and drive the conversation to a particular outcome. We don't need to ask questions that we think will be the right thing to ask, but rather allow the person to speak. And the questions that we ask should only be to understand what they're trying to say, to give them the real feeling that they're being heard. So what that could look like is if someone asks a question, we don't put our own judgment or our own perception on it, but just try and see it from their perspective. Everyone has a completely different perspective. And the way that we really truly connect with people is by understanding them. That doesn't mean that we have to agree or that we have to feel the same way, but we just need to understand that they have their unique experience, and it's okay for them to have that. When people feel seen and heard, it enables them to also stop judging themselves and to come up with their own solutions. When we're holding space for someone, the goal isn't to give them advice. It isn't to be a good friend because we are the most supportive person in the room, but rather to just be present with them. So that can take a little bit of trial and error. It's very common when we have conversations to try and get to a particular outcome, to have like a conclusion. Whereas sometimes these conversations where we're holding space, it's not about getting to a particular goal, but just allowing ourselves to be in that moment. And that's what really creates safety in a relationship and connection. Another thing that I found can be really helpful in having these deeper conversations is when we ask specific questions about a topic. So it's difficult to go to someone and say, hey, so have you been okay lately? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling sad? That doesn't really prompt people to want to tell you how they're feeling. But if we ask them something that we know is going on in their life, for example, recently I had a friend who I know was under a lot of stress, and she was very much bordering on burnout in her profession. And so the way I approached this conversation was to reach out and say, hey, I know that you've been working on a really big project at work and your heart was really in it, but I just wanted to know how that's going for you and how are you experiencing it? And that prompted her to really unpack how it had been affecting her family life, how it had been affecting her health. And as we were talking, she actually came up with her own solutions of like, I'm going to try and do this and I'm going to try and implement that. So I didn't tell her like, that's, yeah, and I think you should also do this. But I told her, well, how can I support you in that? Maybe I can check in with you in a week and just hold you accountable for that thing that you said. She was planning to just take a day out, have no technology and just rest and spend time with her family, which was a wonderful idea in her situation. And I checked on her the following week to see if she had done that. And she did not do it to the extent that she wanted to, but she had tried. So I encouraged her to continue doing that. And I think that's where we can hold each other accountable, but also ask those specific questions to prompt people to go deeper into a particular area of their life that may be affecting the other areas. this is going to look very different from one person to the next, but allow the person to interpret the question and to use it in a way that can help them express themselves. And the last way that I think we can create deeper connections and hold space for people is, instead of having a conversation, if you're, for example, you want to reach out to a child, a teenager, or even a man. I know I'm massively stereotyping here, but generally men in our current society have not been taught how to have emotional conversations, not in the way that women are predisposed to be able to do it. What I found works really well is to do a side-by-side activity. So we're not face-to-face and it feels a little bit less vulnerable, but doing something that is active, that is tangible. For example, cooking a meal together, getting some friends around and all contributing to doing something together and having that shoulder-to-shoulder connection where we can, sometimes it can be easier to express ourselves when we're not face-to-face with that person. This is why having conversations in a car can be really supportive, or having doing a joint activity of any kind, working on a project together can be really supportive. So if we bring those conversations into something that is practical, that is tangible, and sometimes that is a little bit more a longer activity than just a conversation. Maybe a conversation could last 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe the activity that you do lasts a few hours. So there are different opportunities for the person who's by your side to just go a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. And it might just be a few words here and there, but what we're trying to do is create this connection and create a safety in the relationship. And this is something that takes time. I would love to hear from you how you went out and connected with your loved ones. If there was anything in particular that supported you, please drop it here in the comments so that we can share our experiences and help one another to make this world more connected and more meaningful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
If you're ready to connect to your true self, amplify your unique creative voice, and gain unshakable confidence to step into the life that you came here to live, you're in the right place. Welcome.